Shabbat Shalom. Bring you greetings as we start tonight's tefillah, and every meeting and every function at TBI, we talk about our need for safety. For safety and for courtesy, please silence your cell phones and other devices. Please make note of the nearest exit to you by looking for red or green signs. 2 exits behind me on the bima, 2 exits at the back of the sanctuary, or the center door through into the social hall. If you're in the social hall, you can also find exit lights going out through the kitchen or going out through the back of the social hall. If needed, we have fire extinguishers in the cabinet to my left, your right, over by Sally. Hi, Sally. And we have in the lobby, we have a fire extinguisher, first aid kit, and a defibrillator, should in the event that that be needed. If we have to exit the building for any reason, we will exit through the parking lot, and we will gather in the southwest corner away from the building to take attendance and make sure everyone is out safely. In your pews, you have a card that looks like this. It's an evacuation plan. It shows you where the exit doors are, where everything that we've talked about, and we'll give you a little more information. So these cards are in front of you. Please be safe. Shabbat Shalom. Somebody said they left a note for me, but okay, it must be there. That's fine.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for being here and or being there if you're online. Thank you. Some of you were here with us for dinner, so thank you to those who made dinner possible, and they'll be thanked later too, but thank you to everybody who helped with that. We had a large crowd here for our family service, many of whom were at dinner as well, so it was lovely to have all of those folks here with us. We're going to begin on page 24, with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. Invite everybody who's comfortable doing so to rise as we kindle our Shabbat lights. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. You may be seated. We turn to pages 20 and 21. Before we enter into Lecha Dodi, I invite everybody to take a few moments to reflect on the week that has been, to go back to last Shabbat, to pause on each day, its blessings and its challenges. Then we'll come back for Lecha Dodi. Deep breath. We'll sing together verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. For those in the sanctuary, when we get to verse 9, I'll invite you to rise and face the doors from which we entered to welcome the Shabbat presence. And those of you at home can turn toward the doors of your homes. We all welcome that Nishama Yetera, that extra soulfulness that travels with us during Shabbat. Lecha Dodi, page 20. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nikabla. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nikabla. La 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 lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nikabla. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nikabla. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmianu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litchila la 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 lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabla. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nikabla. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshavat chila la 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 lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nikabla. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nikabla. It'oreri ki va'orech kumi ori uri shedaberi kavod Adonai alayich nigla la 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 lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nikabla. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala P'nei Shabbat nikabela. Rise if you're able. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha ubsola toch emunei am segula boi chala la 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 lechadoti likrat kala P'nei Shabbat nikabala lechadoti likrat kala P'nei Shabbat nikabala la 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 lechadoti likrat kala P'nei Shabbat nikabala lechadoti likrat kala P'nei Shabbat nikabela. Page 26. Yitgada Shemei Rabbah V'yalma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyom echon uvchayetecho Beit Yisrael bagala ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולם אלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומן ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקדושה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירם בעלמא ואמרו Amen. Baruch Hu, our call to prayer, page 28. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Leolam Vaed HaMevorach HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Last three lines in the Hebrew, page 30. El Chai V'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Leolam Vaed Baruch Atah Adonai Hamariv Haravim. Continue with Shema Yisrael on page 34 and 35. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod
leolam vaed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
You may be seated. Continue, page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'aderech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. Page 39. Please join in the indented text. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way together. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 mi chamocha bailim Adonai mi kamocha nedar bakodesh norat hilot Osefele, Osefele, Malchutcha ra'uvanecha, Bokeyam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Malchutcha ra'uvanecha, Bokeyam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Yada dai 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 dai, yada dai dai dai. Yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yai die 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 Zezeli anu ve'ameru Adonai imloch leolam leolam vaed Yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yai die 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 die
ונאמר כי בד אדוני את יעקב, וגלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני. Yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 Gal Yisrael. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Turn to Hashkivenu, page 42, as we ask for a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace to cover over us, to have a sense of shlemut each day, of wholeness and peace, and a sense of purpose each day. Drive to make the most of each day. Join in those words. Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Vehamidenu shomreinu lechaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Vehamidenu shomreinu lechaim Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha Ushmor tzeitenu uvoenu Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha Ushmor tzeitenu uvoenu Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Vehamidenu shomreinu lechaim Baruch atah Adonai Haporei Sukat Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim Amen. L'chaim. It's just water.
We give thanks for Shabbat. Join in singing Vishamru, page 44.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ברית עולם.
We turn to page 46 for the beginning of our Amidah. I'll ask those who are comfortable doing so to please rise. Adonai sifatai tivtach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Page 48. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Komel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'Konei Hakol, Ve'Zocher Chatztei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Page 50. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol atah Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim. Somech noflim verofech olim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Micha mocha baal gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol.
Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh HaKol.
Page 52.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please take a few minutes for your own silent prayer or the words of the Siddur through page 62, 63. When you're through, feel free to be seated.
Shabbat shalom to everybody on this hot and rainy night. So, those of you that are somewhat frequent to services here, as well as online, know that I like to play a lot of music by cantor Natalie Young, who is the cantor at Temple Beth Israel in Aliso Viejo, Orange County. And I do that for several reasons. One, she is a wonderful composer. Two, she has a beautiful voice. And three, she's just a nice person. I've dealt with her a number of times asking for her music. So this is a setting that she did from her 2019 album Soul Spark, which I came across and just really love, and here it is. Did I say the name of the piece? I don't even remember if I... Shalom Aleichem.
Thank you, Dr. Pulivoy. Most summers, 2 weeks I'm up at Camp Newman. I'm up there with Cantor Young and her husband. Her husband's a rabbi, actually, also, and he's David Young is in Fountain Valley. He's in Fountain Valley, and she's in Aliso Viejo. So. So it's said that Americans spend over 37 billion hours a year waiting in line. It's a lot of hours. And I really don't like waiting in line. It's one of the reasons my family really love to go to Disney parks, and they usually go without me. They find times to go. They've traveled to Orlando. When we went to London and France, we went to London, and then we went to France, and then I flew home, and they went to Disney France for a few more days, and then they came home. I'm not big on waiting in lines. But what really irks me, right, is when people cut in line. They get it up to the front of the line. And it's really people's lack of sense of fairness, or that somehow their time is more valuable than anybody else's. So this week's Torah portion includes various commandments that aim at increasing our sensitivity to the feelings of others. It doesn't talk about line cutting. It should, but it doesn't. It doesn't. Because we need to not think only about what's best for ourselves, but also about how our actions impact on others. So for instance, we're told if we find a lost object, we're supposed to go to the utmost lengths to try to return it to its owner, even if it takes a lot of time and energy on our part. For instance, if you lose something like if you find somebody's goat, not only are you responsible for trying to return the goat, but in the meantime, you're now responsible for housing the goat, feeding the goat, taking care of the goat until you can find its owner, right? So we need to think about the feelings of the person who has lost this possession. Workers in vineyards, we're told in this Torah portion, are allowed to eat the grapes as they work, so that their feelings are respected and their natural hunger is satisfied. When it comes to collecting a loan, we're told we must wait outside the home of the borrower courteously for them to make payment. The Torah insists that workers be paid on time. To delay payment is considered oppression of the worker. It says, "In the same day you shall pay the wages, neither shall the sun go down upon it. For if the person is poor and sets their heart upon it, lest the person cry against you unto the eternal, and it be counted as a sin against you." Delay in paying one's worker is not simply an act of financial negligence, but an affront to the laborer who depends on that daily income. It's a sin against the worker's dignity and self-respect. Postponing payment reflects an attitude of disregard and disdain toward the one who has provided services and who's entitled to receive pay. It was said of Rabbi Yitzhak Luria, the great 16th century Kabbalist, that he would not allow himself to pray mincha, the afternoon service, until he first paid his debt to any workers. He reasoned, how can I stand in prayer before God if I have not fulfilled my basic obligation to those who serve me? We might extend Rabbi Luria's reasoning to others who do things at the expense of others, who think themselves more important or more entitled than others. How can we stand before God in prayer if we have shown callousness to our fellow human beings? In Talmud Brachot, it states that if one does not respond to the greeting of another, it's considered as if that person were a thief. By ignoring the greeting of another person, it's as if one is indicating, you're not important enough to merit a simple word of response from me. You simply don't matter. The responder, the non-responder, is considered a thief according to Talmud because they have robbed the other person of their dignity and feelings of self-worth. The greatest people are precisely those who are most generous and sensitive to the feelings of others. They conduct themselves with good manners and with thoughtfulness. They are humble, authentic, and kind. They pay their debts on time. They demand no extra honors or privileges. They don't cut corners. But in what ways do we, in our own lives, cut corners? How do we overlook the feelings of others? How can we be better in this new year? There's a story, and I'll end with a story. During the month of Elul, the great Hasidic sage Levi Yitzhak of Berdichev heard a man going door to door, asking if anybody needed anything in need of repair. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak fell to his knees and said, "Woe is me, and woeful is my soul. The day of judgment is fast approaching, and I have yet to repair myself." Our high holy days are right around the corner. So let's all take some time to look inside ourselves and ask, what in me is in need of repair as I approach this new year? Shabbat Shalom. We're going to turn now to page 253, in the middle of the page, for our Misha Berach prayer for healing. And for those of you at home, feel free to mention names of people who you're thinking about in the chat. And of course, in the congregation, we'll have the opportunity to add those who are in our hearts to our prayer as well. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. We ask for blessings upon Rebecca Gilman, Hannah Fields Austin, Sue Toback, Rosalind Lefkowitz, Helen Weinfeld, Pam Poliakoff, Connie Shapiro, Kathy Blumenfeld, Caitlin Antrim, Jennifer Rudin, Brad Holland, Serena Postal, Bobby Kay, Robert Strober, Marilyn Lubarsky, Ellery Einstein, Patricia Kramer, Joan Morse, Nomi Kravitz, Craig Sachs, Simon Saul, Blair Pollock, Myra White, Lori Snyder, Charity Razorday, Mike Klein, Lillian Morrison, Barbara Fass, Joel Beasy, Burton Gershman, Carol Berlant, David Bush, Howard Bush, Dana Sundin, Lawson Spicer, Mark Fenton, Gloria Foster, Rita Warshaw, Ira Quatcher, Robert Gerard, Stephen Arts, Brenda Found Gerard, Ron Friedlander, Harvey Sherman, Zach Gross, Jan Marcus, Howard Kummerman, Deborah Kummerman, and
Makor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
I'd like to invite back up to the bima Neil Gerard to share some announcements with you.
Again, Shabbat Shalom. It is my pleasure to bring greetings on behalf of our Board of Trustees. Special thanks tonight go to our rabbi, who is pulling double duty, and to Randy. Thank you, and Shalom Aleichem. Thanks, as always, to Claudia Gonzalez, who runs our technology units so seamlessly. Thanks to our greeters and our helpers, that they included tonight Nathan in the driveway, Sharon Regalado, Beth Litton, Kylie Sykes, Joan Gerard, and all of that is organized by Judy Rose, as always. We thank them all. Thanks also to everyone who contributed to tonight's barbecue dinner before services. A few announcements of upcoming events. This Sunday is a busy day. Sunday is the first day of JCS Religious School, followed by an afternoon event online. The temple is organizing a mahjong group. If my mom lived close, she'd be right with the group, but you can get online and learn how to play mahjong. You can look in the Thursday update for the link. Later on Sunday, there will be a security presentation. I'm sorry, wrong, scratch that. On Thursday of this week, the 15th, at 7 p.m., there will be a security presentation. Be safe and be prepared by attending this workshop or one of the many upcoming workshops that we will be presenting, helping all of our congregants be safe both at the temple or outside. We are starting the annual Project Angel program, collecting items for new mothers. The last day to donate is October 5th. For more information on these and many other events, please check the Kahila, our website, tbipomona.org, or you can check the weekly updates. Following services, please join us in the social hall for motzi, kiddush, and refreshments, and please try to meet someone new, someone you haven't met before. Shabbat Shalom.
We're going to turn now to, as we move toward the end of our service, we turn to page 282 in the middle of the page for Aleinu L'Shabeach, and I invite everybody who's able to do so to please rise.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 287.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. We turn to page 294. We take a moment to remember those who have been important in our lives and have left this earth, those who have died in recent days or at this time in years past. And again, if you're at home, feel free to mention names you're thinking about in the chat. We remember the recent death of Jeremy Knoller, nephew of Beth and Michael Litton. Remember the anniversaries of the deaths of Beverly Davidson, David Diamond, Rosalie Fisher, Harriet Flatta, Bruce McDonald, Blanche Rubin, Pete Wallman, Lillian Feingold, Faye Hauptman, Sarah Gorn Karmatz, Myron Strober, Susan Berlin, Marjorie Bleichman, Eleanor Ketzoff, Linda Litwack, Marvin Morris, Helen Joy Salter, Tom Sykes, Estelle Goldberger, Faye Bespris Garland, Ann Meyer, Pauline Paris, Faye Putter, Bernice Rochester, Max Sawitz, Melvin Emis, Dorothy Funk, Melvin Gerard, Marion Goodman, Ruth Lubarski, Ralph Perlman, Eric Stein, Carl Sugar, Jacob Wachtel, Gloria Gray, F. Herbert Handler, Jack Housen, Rich Ross, Molly Ansell, Philip Bryn, and Sanford Sharp. If you're remembering somebody on the Shabbat, would like to mention a name, add a name to our list, or restate a name that I've mentioned, please feel free to do so as I come by your row. If you're in a time of mourning or observing a yard site on this Shabbat, I invite you to please rise. I invite the rest of the congregation, if it's your custom, to rise and embrace and support those who mourn. Again, Kaddish is on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divrach hirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayachon v'yomachon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam olomei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dukudusha brichu, le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata ta'amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. We're going to conclude, sort of, with Biyado, which is the last stanza on page 321. After Biyado, stay where you are for the sounding of the shofar, and then we will move into the social hall for kiddush and motzi and refreshments.
Biyado afkid ruchi, ve'tishan ve'ayira, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li velo ira, ve'im ruchi geviati. Adonai li velo ira. My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Hold me in your hand. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Safely in your hand. Biado. Biado afkid ruchi. Be'eti shan ve'aira. Ve'im ruchi geviati. Adonai li velo ira. Ve'im ruchi geviati. Adonai li velo ira.
Shabbat Shalom.